Sorry, hello. The floor is yours. Sorry, Simonetta.
Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome everybody to the European Community Dialogue Day. Today is day 4 of our Impact is for Everyone global conference. We started out the week with the Impactful Women's Network showcase. On day 2, we covered the Impactful Business Network. Yesterday, we had an amazing session with wonderful speakers from all over the United States on America Community Dialogue Day. And tomorrow, we are going to wrap up our week with Africa Community Dialogue Day. So today on this segment, we are going to be just discussing the 2023 updates, mostly within a European context, but I'll start with several global updates first, and then we'll zero in on what specifically will be going on in Europe. The second half of this hour will be a brainstorming session, so we definitely want everybody in the audience to put on your thinking caps and give us your ideas on what else you think that we could be doing based on what we discussed about our current plans to have an even greater impact on Europe. Okay, so the first thing that we want to go over is some recent updates to our website, because we used the analogy of hosting a house party when we were preparing for this conference. That sometimes you have a party just so that you make sure that you tackle that cleaning project that you've been putting off for a long time. That was definitely the case here. Our website has needed an overhaul for quite some time, and there's just been so much going on, it's been almost impossible to keep up with the updates, let alone present them onto the website in a cohesive manner. However, we did take the first step over the last week. We do still have a lot of work in terms of cleaning up the menu, reorganizing it, and making sure that the everything is clear. But we're going to first take you through a quick tour of our new buttons. So at the top of all of our pages, you see this second banner here. Again, you can still navigate through the website using the menu, but we wanted to give you some shortcuts to some of the more recent pages. So subscribe, what does that mean? That means that in moving forward, we will now have 6 different monthly newsletters. And we are using the analogy of, think about getting the local paper and you have the business section and the sports section and the arts and culture section. Hardly anybody reads all of them. But if you want to, you can get all of them. And by all of them, what we mean by those 6 is we have a monthly newsletter for global updates. We have another newsletter specifically for the Impactful Business Network and the 4 sub-networks. We'll have one for the Impactful Women's Network. We'll also have one for Africa, one for Europe, and one for the US. We will be adding additional regions in the future, as well as additional categories of spirit of the game. Climate and sustainability will probably be one of the next ones coming up, as well as youth leadership. And for all 6 of these, you now have 3 different ways to get your news. You can subscribe by email and get the newsletter emailed to you on a monthly basis whenever it comes out. We will be duplicating that same process, slightly different format, for LinkedIn. So if you follow any of these LinkedIn pages, you will automatically get invited to subscribe to the newsletter when the first edition is ready. You also can sign up for the WhatsApp group, where you will get just the link with a short summary of the content in there each month, and go and read further if you want. And if you really wanted to, you could sign up for the global one via WhatsApp, the Impactful Business one on LinkedIn, and get the TIWN one emailed directly to you. It's entirely up to you. You choose what news you want, and you choose what platform you want to get that news on. In addition, our aspiration is that The newsletter will also be available in a video format, such as this, with a slideshow going on behind it, as well as audio only format for a podcast. So that is one of the major updates that we've been preparing and for this conference, because we realize there's a lot of people following a lot of what we do, and we did not have effective ways to really follow up with people other than through inviting them to LinkedIn. Now we're getting all of our newsletters set up so that you can stay on top of the latest updates and not always have to come to a live event to hear them. Second is the donate button. So it still redirects to our parent NGO, but now you can get there. In the past, the link kept breaking. So we put this patch in there basically. So we cannot currently provide deductions for taxpayers outside of the US, but in the near future, we will have NGOs set up in for EU taxpayers, as well as Switzerland, Kenya, Botswana, and hopefully India by the end of the year as well. Okay, next, volunteer. So we have redone our volunteer application form that it pretty much gets straight to the point. Who are you? What are you passionate about? How much time do you have? And are you more interested in leading the team or joining somebody else's team? And when we ask that question, how much time do you have? It's because we very deliberately developed our system so that even if you only have 2 or 3 hours a week to work virtually on your own schedule, there's still a way for you to contribute. We have essentially eliminated that barrier to entry for anybody who is looking to have a greater positive impact on society. You can get started with us on a very minimal time commitment and still be making a contribution. And then the fourth button is engage. We have 4 surveys so far, and we will be adding additional ones on a regular basis. So the first one is, what does the public think about Spirit of the Game as an organization? And there is basically a written version of our overview video that starts off that form that helps to clarify any type of confusion you might have. But then we know, no matter what, there's still going to be questions from some people because everybody comes from a different perspective. We want to know what questions you still have after you've watched the overview video or after you've read that overview presentation. Second is the Impactful Women's Network. We want to know what you think as a potential member, what you're looking for, what benefits would be of greatest value to you. Third is, what do you think? If you're not an impactful coach or a consultant, what do you think about this topic? Tell us in your own words what you think, or what type of impact coaching or consulting you might benefit from. If you are a coach or consultant, there's a survey that helps you identify whether or not you are an impactful one with our definition. So the thing is, impactful for coaches and consultants is that they, every coach or consultant tends to think that they are having an impact. And to a degree they are. For us, it's really about that next level of not, are you the coach having an impact, but are your clients having a greater positive impact on society after you work with them or not? Are you impacting your clients to pay it forward? Or are you mostly working with people who are taking your expertise and using it for their own benefit rather than for the benefit of society? Now, here's the thing about each of these surveys, as you might have been reading there. Every time 50 people complete one of our surveys, we're going to draw a name out of the hat, and we're going to give them either a free membership or a free impact coaching or consulting session. But that's not all, because we want to incentivize everybody who takes these surveys to also share these surveys. So every time we draw a name out of the hat, and by the way, the first 50 names stay in the hat. So if you're one of the first 50 people, you still qualify when we get to 100 people and 150 and so on. So each time you complete the survey, you get one chance to win. But every person that wins, also, if they put a name in the box at the beginning of who referred them to that survey, that person will also get the prize. So when you complete a survey, you have 1 in 50 chance of winning in the beginning. But if you get 10 of your connections to complete that same survey, you've got 11 chances to win. So the more people you share it with, the greater your odds are of being one of the winners through the referral prize. Okay, so the 5th button is tiwn.org. Takes you to our landing page where we will be explaining in greater depth about what the organization is all about. But for now, you can jump directly to the landing page for our Mighty Networks community. Sorry, just bypassed that. But yeah, that takes you to the link where there are 2 overview videos if you're not already a member, and that will explain, hopefully answer all of your questions that you might have about this network. Okay, so I'm going to come back in a few minutes with some additional updates specifically for Europe. But first, I want to give our other European regional chairs, the rest of the European Leadership Council, an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what they've been working on. Simonetta, would you like to kick us off?
With pleasure. Thank you so much, Trent. This is just a quick summary of what we are going to talk about later in a few hours. I'm working on a project called No Label that actually it's a format we are developing on YouTube, but probably is going to be then replicated with other social media. And it's something that at this moment is through stories coming from our guests. The goal is to inspire with positive vibes and positive messages, telling stories coming from inspiring people. And sometimes stories are really very sad. But people who are in the audience who are listening to these stories, I'm sure they will be glad to have, their soul and their heart fulfilled with these beautiful, amazing, positive, ending stories we are telling. But the consequent evolution of this project will be to be the container for NGOs where they can introduce themselves, they can properly tell the world that they exist, what they are going to do, and which kind of help they can give or they need from people. On the other hand, and I always put myself in front of everything when I try to create something, if I want to know which kind of NGOs is available on my place or in another country, or an NGO is focusing on a specific topic, right now, the solution I have is to go in Google and try to, look for something. No Label on my head is something that is going to collect all the NGOs where someone can go and just, doing a simple search or watching playlist can finally and easily find the NGOs that they want to belong to or listen to. That's all right now. Thank you so much, Trent. And I just go with Julius, if he's with us, because he was having urgent matters to handle with. Julius, are with us? Probably not.
Simonetta, I can briefly say, I've shared one of the projects I'm working on already, so
Okay.
redundant to talk about it. I will just share the next one, but I won't say much because I will be presenting shortly again, so I won't, destroy my presentation. But anyway, I'm working on the corporate side, and I'm trying to introduce the corporate offerings and partnerships in the European context in this case, but also globally. And I'm beginning, to work on many other projects. I'm also heading the Impactful Arts network, which is just beginning. And if Trent wants to add anything on that dimension, he would be of great help.
All right. The Impactful Art Network is
Yeah.
something you better stay tuned for. If
Yeah.
you really want to get the up to the minute updates on as we roll this out, subscribe.
Bravo, well said. Subscribe is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
So, but that's the next project, and it's not, I'm not going to say more, otherwise, it loses the magic. So,
Okay. Yeah.
Julius?
So
Or-
yeah, Julius, just let me know whenever you're back. He said he got called away on an emergency meeting for his other employer. But so the other things that we're working on in Switzerland here, that's where I am, is we are trying to set up a couple of retreats for this summer and early fall. So these will be 2 to 2.5 day find your social impact platform retreats, where first we're going to help you identify what is your current priorities in terms of personal development. Then we're going to help you identify which areas of social impact A, you're most passionate about, but also B, you're most uniquely positioned to impact. And we will be pairing you up with experts, both personal development and social impact experts throughout the course of the weekend, or in some cases, it will be a Thursday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday retreat. And then as the capstone, we will help you to figure out how to bring those two areas together so that they feed off of each other in a positive manner rather than competing for your attention. So that is one of the things that we're working on for Switzerland here. It's the center of Europe in that context, and we're hoping to bring people not only from across the country but from neighboring countries as well. And we will actually be using those retreats to jumpstart the local chapters of the Impactful Women's Network and the Impactful Business Network. So that's one of the kind of the major updates, the major news that we'll hopefully have some additional details on in the next couple of weeks so that people can start making plans to hopefully attend. We also are working on our Big Ideas Hackathon series. So the Big Ideas Hackathon is just based on a very simple question. Do you, as an individual, have a big idea on a way to positively impact society? But is it an idea that's either so big that you don't even know how to move forward, or maybe it's just an idea that you don't have the bandwidth to pursue, or you don't have the right network yet, or maybe it's even an idea that's outside your area of expertise, so you're not the proper person to advance that idea, but you still want to share it with the world. So these Big Idea Hackathons are about bringing together people that each have their own individual big idea in a similar arena and helping them to brainstorm with each other to refine those ideas and ideally combine them into something that is now workable, that now can be progress can be made. We can start moving forward. And these will be set up as competitions. There will be judges, and the winners, the best big ideas, will be featured prominently on our social media channels afterwards. And in some contexts, will even be added to our global playbook of initiatives. Because this is something else that is very unique about Spirit of the Game, particularly for international NGOs. We don't want to be that organization that tries a one-size-fits-all for every society, or even the same city or different cities within the same country. We very strongly believe in local context. And sometimes It could just be that what's a good idea in one city isn't a good idea in the next. But it also could be that somebody else is already doing it in the second city. So there's really no need for a new organization to come in, because far too often we get the cruise ship phenomenon, as we describe it, where a cruise ship pulls into Venice and swamps all of the local fishing boats and knocks over all of the boats in the canal. But they've got the money, they've already got the influence. They don't really have to worry that much about the consequences to the local nonprofit ecosystem. We want to be the opposite of that. We want to be the platform that develops a menu of initiatives so that our local partners can choose the one that makes the most sense for their context and their city at that moment in time. So this is the other thing about the big ideas. Because if you walk away from our Impact is from Everyone global conference with only 2 takeaways. First is that title. We're not exaggerating. We're not in any way other than emphasizing, we mean that 100%, that if society is going to improve and become long-term sustainable, where equality for all is the new reality, we all have to get involved. It doesn't matter what sector we're currently in. It doesn't matter where we are individually in our journeys. Impact is for everyone. And if you don't know how to have an impact, we're happy to help. But we also want to create the communities so that people can help each other. We do not want this to be some top down where you come and listen to an expert tell you how to become impactful, and then you go back to your daily lives with very little change. No, we want you to become a member of the community so that the community can help you to refine your impact. So that's number one. But number two, we want you to also take away from this conference and the very wide variety of topics that we are covering from most of the world, that Spirit of the Game is an organization that goes out and has a dialogue with the community, that embraces our community, that wants to solicit ideas from our community. And in 5 minutes, we're going to do exactly that. We are going to lead a community brainstorming session on what else we could be doing. Because the last thing we ever want to do is convince ourselves or pretend to anybody else that we have all of the answers. The best answers for societal solution are still out there. Do you want to know how I know that? It's what I call negative evidence. People sometimes say when we come up with an innovative idea, well, how do you know that's going to work? And we say, we don't. What we do know is that every other solution that has been tried hasn't worked. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be talking about this problem. So we want your ideas, and we want to take your raw ideas. We want to filter them through our vast global network and refine them into workable gems so that they can be implemented. Maybe not right now, maybe not even 6 months from now or a year from now. Some cases, it might take 5 years, 10 years, 15, or even 20 years to take that idea and turn it into something workable. But that right there is another reason why some of the best ideas on the planet sit inside people's brains and never get shared. Because as an individual, it doesn't really make sense for you to start working on a project that's going to take 20 years to achieve results. But guess what? Many of these issues we're talking about, these root causes of societal dysfunction, they have been decades or even hundreds of years in the making. So pretending that we're going to solve them in 6 months or a year, no. We need the big ideas. That we also need the members of the community who will band together take the idea, even if it's not their own, embrace it, work on it for a year or two, and then pass the baton to the next person who comes along to take it further and drive it further. So this is the other reason why we think it makes sense. And we see why so many passionate and committed and already successful individuals and organizations are choosing to attach themselves to the Spirit of the Game platform. Longevity, that understanding that if the community is big enough, your big idea will eventually come to fruition. So with that, I could talk quite a bit longer about many of our other global updates, such as the Spirit of the Game Social Impact University that we are developing both online and now with micro campuses. I could tell you all about some of these great initiatives coming out of the US that will spill over to the rest of the world. But again, we're here for your ideas. So now, as we're at the middle of the hour, my time is up. It's your time from the audience to share your ideas on what else you think that we could be doing in Europe. If you got a great idea for another area of the country, feel free to, or of the world, feel free to type it in the chat. But if you're going to speak, if you're going to come on and give us your voice, let's talk about Europe, at least for the first 20 minutes.